Welcome to this time of worship. May we be open to love's direction. A reading from Habakkuk, chapter 1, verses 1 to 4, chapter 2, verses 1 to 4. The prophecy that Habakkuk the prophet received. How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen? Or cry out to you, violence, but you do not save? Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are before me. There is strife and conflict abounds. Therefore, the law is paralyzed, and justice never prevails. The wicked hem in the righteous, so that justice is perverted. I will stand at my watch and station myself on the ramparts. I will look to see what he will say to me, and what answer am I to give to this complaint? The Lord's answer. Then the Lord replied, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets, so the herald may run with it. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. See, the enemy is puffed up. His desires are not upright, but the righteous person will live by his faithfulness. A reading from Luke 19, verses 1 to 10. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through it. A man was there named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but on account of the crowd he could not, because he was short in stature. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree to see him, because he was going to pass that way. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today. So he hurried down and was happy to welcome him. All who saw it began to grumble and said, he is gone to be the guest of one who is a sinner. Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, "Look, half of my possessions, Lord, I will give to the poor. And if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I will pay back 4 times as much." Then Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because he too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek out and to save the lost."
To be righteous also means to work for justice. As Oscar Romero reminds us in one of his homilies, collected into a book entitled The Violence of Love, Romero says, "As long there is not greater justice among us, there will always be outbreaks of revolution." Oscar Romero was prelate to the Catholic Church in El Salvador, and he served as auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of San Salvador. His quote again, "As long as there is not greater justice among us, there will always be outbreaks of revolution." He also says, if there were love of neighbor, there would be no terrorism, no repression, no selfishness, none of such cruel inequalities in society, no abductions, no crimes. Love sums up the law. Not only that, it gives a Christian meaning to all human relations. Love gives plenitude to all human duties. And without love, justice is only the sword. With love, justice becomes a brother's embrace. Without love, laws are arduous, repressive, cruel. But when there is love, security forces would be superfluous. There would be no jail or tortures, no will to beat anyone. End of the quote. That heading, "The Violence of Love," that phrase caught my imagination early one morning. How could love be violent? It seemed an oxymoron. So I had to explore the word violence. One meaning of violence is to defy, to not obey the rules. So does love defy the rules of hatred, anger, jealousy? Can love refuse to follow the rules of oppression and injustice, racism, misogyny, exclusion? Does love fly in the face of violence? I think so. The author of Proverbs says, "A soft answer turns away wrath." Love, such an overused word with so many shades of meaning. Compassion, empathy, and kindness come to mind immediately. But love is also demonstrated when we show understanding, curiosity, and concern, when we are sensitive and actively seek a connection with another. Let's turn to the Gospel, Jesus and Zacchaeus. I was always taught that Zacchaeus was a small man and that is why he climbed the tree. I don't see that in the Gospel. But I wonder if he felt small, felt some sense of shame. As a Jewish tax collector working for Rome, he would not be popular with the local community. So we could be persuaded that he didn't relish the idea of mixing with the crowd, and perhaps hoped that he would be hidden by the foliage. Yet he was curious about Jesus. He didn't want to be excluded, and that curiosity was a vital step towards his wholeness. When Jesus calls to him, he's suddenly the center of attention, just what he was trying to avoid. But the attention of a popular rabbi and the fact that Jesus wanted to eat with him would have made him suddenly more acceptable in his society. Jesus states that his mission is to the lost. What had Zacchaeus lost? Community, friends, social acceptability. Likely he'd lost his own compassion and sense of humanity, and possibly his own self-respect. He would have needed to become defensive and hard-hearted, or how else could he, a Jew, work for the enemy and at the expense of his own people? Wouldn't you like to have been a fly on the wall at that dinner? I wonder how the conversation went. What was said or shared that changed Zacchaeus' heart from injustice to generosity? By Jesus responding to Zacchaeus' curiosity and seeking to connect with Zacchaeus, showing some interest and seeking to understand him, Jesus acts with love. By refusing to engage with the social mores of the time, Jesus defies or violates the status quo and brings Zacchaeus back into relationship with himself and his community. How and where can we meet violence and crime with sensitivity and understanding? I'm grateful that I'm unlikely to be challenged by Vladimir Putin. But we are surrounded by people who don't feel as if they fit. New immigrants, BIPOC individuals, those who are mentally unstable, or those struggling with their birth gender. Again, the list is endless. Opportunities abound to break down the social constructs which isolate others, and to allow love to disrupt and violate systemic and social injustices. As we strive to follow the way of Jesus in the midst of our society, let us have compassion on ourselves and each other when we fail. May we include the excluded and listen to those whose opinions are at odds with our own, recognizing that love in its many forms is a choice. Help us choose well. Amen.
The prayer attributed to Jesus, from the original Aramaic translation by Neil Douglas Klotz in Prayers of the Cosmos. O Birther, Father, Mother of the Cosmos, focus your light within us. Make it useful. Create your reign of unity now. Through our fiery hearts and willing hands, help us love beyond our ideals and sprout acts of compassion for all creatures. Animate the earth within us. We then feel the wisdom underneath supporting all. Untangle the knots within so that we can mend our heart's simple ties to each other. Don't let surface things delude us, but free us from what holds us back from our true purpose. Out of you, the astonishing fire, returning light and sound to the cosmos. Amen.